Today in our schools, the manual trades are given little honor. The egalitarian worry that has always attended tracking students, there's that topic again, into college prep and vocational ed, and that was the separation, right? The college prep tended to be for the middle class and above. It tended to be for white kids, but it was supposed to be for people who had aptitude, who showed aptitude in high school, who showed in high school that they were prepared to take on college and to succeed and to go into careers where they could blossom and where they could contribute to society. And as I've said, and as Sahil has said, a lot of the people who were college prep and did go in, they would come from the lower classes and they would come from minority populations. Okay. But the divide between college prep and vocational ed really has always suggested people who can't do college. Vocational ed has focused on hand skills, craftsmanship, where college prep has focused on brain. That divide. And we did used to track students into one or the other of these categories. But we were worried, the egalitarian worry was of course that the people who ended up in vocational ed were poor and minorities. And the people who ended up in college prep were white, middle class and above. So they worried. And that's why we did away with tracking, in large part, was this concern that it ended up not being fair. And we also had the fear that acquiring a specific skill set meant that one's life is determined. It was even the wisdom once upon a time that a person should not learn how to type, because if anybody knew that you could type, then you were going to become a secretary. This, by the way, was well before there were computers and everybody had them, when typing was done on actual typewriters. So it was a skill. And yes, not very many people had it, so those who did have it were asked to type. And then that meant that their life's work was kind of predetermined and limited to a life of typing. And this could be true of anybody with any sort of specific skill set that was kind of rare, but it was still thought of as hands only and not brain. And so it would be a dead-end job in the classic sense. You would be doing that typing forever and nothing else, and you wouldn't get increases in responsibility or increases in benefits and salary. Okay, in college, by contrast, many students don't learn anything of particular application. That I, of course, take exception to because I'm a college teacher and I think we learn all kinds of things of particular application, but he disagrees. College is the ticket to an open future. That, of course, is true. You can parlay a bachelor's degree in almost anything into almost any kind of career. That's what bosses are looking for, and it is because having a bachelor's degree means something. It means discipline, it means intellect, it means determination, it means all kinds of things, and that's why those are so valuable. But open future, yes, it's true. You could get a bachelor's degree in English and become a lawyer. An awful lot of people who get bachelor's degrees in English do become lawyers. They also become advertisers. They also become middle management. They become all kinds of things. Okay, but this is what he objects to. Craftsmanship entails learning to do one thing really well, while the ideal of the new economy is to be able to learn new things, celebrating potential rather than achievement. And I suppose he's got us there. But the wisdom of our recent generations is that people aren't necessarily going to be doing one thing when they finish college. They are probably going to have, 2, 3, 4, 5 different careers over the course of their lifetime. So why not learn how to have an open future? But I guess he does have another point on the other hand, though. Just because somebody has learned how to type really well or how to make cabinets really well, that doesn't mean that they can't do all kinds of other things too. So every worker in the cutting-edge workplace is now supposed to act like an entrepreneur, to be actively involved in the continuous redefinition of his own job. Shop class presents an image of stasis, all right, somebody in a go-nowhere kind of a job, that runs directly counter to what Richard Sennett identifies as a key element in the new economy's idealized self. And we do have that. The idea that everybody's supposed to become a knowledge worker. And the idea that we're going to realize who we are in life because we have been accepted into university and because we have completed that degree. We do associate that with who we are as a person. This stance toward established reality, which can only be called psychedelic, I don't know where he's going here, is best not indulged around a table saw. He's making fun, actually. He's making fun of the people who say college is the future, saying it's psychedelic as in, kind of not real, kind of hippie. He is dissatisfied with what Arendt calls the reality and reliability of the world, as if to say that studying the humanities or the social sciences or anything like that means that you're studying something soft and not real and not provable. I wonder why he hasn't introduced any topics regarding the hard sciences, though. I think it would run counter to what his point is. It is a strange sort of ideal, attractive only to a peculiar sort of self-gratuitous ontological insecurity. Is no fun for most people. Again, he's just making fun of the idea that a college education that doesn't teach you how to do any particular job-related thing, self-gratuitous, is kind of an imaginary skill set. As Sennett argues, most people take pride in being good at something specific, which happens through an accumulation of experience. Yet the flitting disposition is pressed upon workers from above by the current generation of management revolutionaries. Okay, so bosses seem to be supporting this idea, for whom the ethic of craftsmanship is actually something to be rooted out from the workforce, right? People who only know how to do one thing don't belong. Craftsmanship means dwelling on a task for a long time and going deeply into it because one wants to get it right. Now, maybe that's not economically feasible. Let's do it fast. In management speak, this is called being ingrown. The preferred role model is the management consultant who sweeps in and out and whose very pride lies in his lack of particular expertise. Like the ideal consumer, the management consultant presents an image of soaring freedom, in light of which the manual trades appear cramped and paltry. So he's strongly objecting to the idea that the manual trades are treated as, very much second class, as too basic, as very limiting for one's future. And he's being really, really sarcastic here, contrasting a college education with that. Which is kind of funny in a way, because if you think about it, look at this guy's writing, look at this guy's word choices, look at the people he's citing, a bunch of philosophers, and, really hardcore stuff. He's obviously, himself, got a college education. Okay, let's stop for a second here.